Do you want to learn how to live for free without paying rent or a mortgage? It's certainly possible. Now, this isn't going to be a how to become mortgage free video, rather it's a how to live for free video. And there's this concept called house hacking, where you can reduce expenses and generate enough income from the home that you live in to cover the rent or the mortgage. Now, before we begin, I wanted to let you know that this video is brought to you by SparkRental, where you can access free video courses on passive income from real estate, rental property calculators, and interactive maps of the best markets to invest. And if you'd like to support the channel, please visit SparkRental.com, and by the way, I left a link in the description for the SparkRental house hacking calculator that I think you should check out. So why house hack anyway? Well, because house hacking is about more than just rent-free living. First, house hacking lets you get started in real estate investing with very little money down. Because you're buying a home to live in yourself, you qualify for owner-occupied financing. And owner-occupied financing means low interest rates and low down payments. Later on, I'll cover financing options for house hacking, and most of them involve very low or no down payment options. Now, circling back to the whole live for free idea, housing is most people's largest expense. In fact, people routinely spend 25 to 50% of their income on housing alone. And by eliminating it, you instantly boost your savings rate by 25 to 50%. Imagine for a moment, what would you do with an extra $500 a month, $1,000 a month, or even $2,000 a month or more to do whatever you want with? If this sounds good to you, give me a like on this video and stay tuned to the end. That way you'll get all of the tips, including my favorite. It's what I call the millionaire minting machine. I've done it before, I've made hundreds of thousands of dollars with it, and yes, even you can get in on the action. So stay tuned for that. Okay, so let's get started with a few ideas for house hacking single-family homes to cover some or all of your mortgage or rent. Having housemates or roommates is an excellent hack. In fact, I used it myself when I was younger. For example, in my first apartment, my roommate paid nearly 3/4 of my rent payment. Don't tell him. If I owned the home at that time, it would have covered a large portion of my mortgage payment. Now, we didn't know each other initially, but we grew to become friends. And some called me lucky to have found such a great housemate, but the truth is, I did my homework first. Now, at the time, running tenant screening reports wasn't possible, and I do so today. But instead, I asked dozens of questions about his personal habits and lifestyle. And I was grilled in return to make sure that we were a good fit to live together. We asked each other questions like, when do you normally go to bed and wake up? Which chores do you hate? Which chores do you not mind? And do you have a significant other? And how often do they sleep over? These are important questions. And you can also look at sites like Cambridge Homestay to place a foreign exchange student, and so on. One final perk of housemates is that they can split your utility bills with you as well. Now, I always prefer to include the utilities in the rent, and that's just me. It doesn't mean it has to do it that way. But if you prefer, you can have them split it. Either way, housemates are a great way to cover your housing payment, but just be prepared to compromise. It's not a free lunch. You have to give up some privacy and personal space in return. And then you can supercharge your savings rate and put more money towards investments and financial independence. Now, what if you hate the idea of sharing your home with a housemate? Well, consider renting out one or more rooms on a short-term basis instead. And it comes with its own trade-offs, like less consistency, more cleaning, and you're going to be paying the utility bills. You get the picture. Still, it can be a great way to rake in some rent without the compromises that come with living with a roommate. And you're not limited to just renting rooms either. Well, why not rent out your entire home when you're not using it? For example, when you're traveling or spending the weekend at your parents' house or at your significant other's place. In fact, a friend of mine has her entire home permanently available on Airbnb. And whenever somebody books it, she simply crashes with her boyfriend. And it only takes about 10 days a month of being rented in order for her to cover her entire mortgage payment. Next, we're going to talk about storage space. Now, before you get too excited, bear in mind that this tactic is the least lucrative on the least, and will certainly not cover the majority of your housing payment. But it also requires the fewest headaches and sacrifices on your part. If you have a garage or some storage space, think about renting it out. You could get upwards of $300 a month just to store someone's stuff in your garage, and you'll never see them. Another advantage to renting out storage space, if renters don't pay the rent, well, you can evict their stuff quickly and inexpensively. It's nothing like the long, drawn-out eviction process for residential renters. Check out neighbor.com and sparefoot.com as two options for renting out your space or your storage space and enjoy some stress-free income. And another option is to convert your single-family home into an effective multi-family home. And no, you probably won't need to jump through legal hoops like rezoning the unit unless you want the property to legally convey as a multi-unit when you go to sell. But you will need to make the unit self-contained, including a kitchen or a kitchenette that has a fridge, a microwave, a sink, and some means of cooking food. You'll also need a bathroom and a separate entrance. Oh, and by the way, a mini refrigerator, jumbo toaster oven, and a hot plate could do the trick for a kitchenette. I've seen a lot worse in some big cities. Now, do you know what most people use their basements for? Storing Christmas decorations and old boxes of junk, which is about as useful as a screen door on a submarine. Instead, consider converting your basement to an income suite. To be practical, the basement should already have its own separate entrance. You may need to add a full bathroom, and you'll almost certainly need to add a kitchen or a kitchenette. The basement should ideally have climate control, but if not, don't sweat it. Most basements are inherently cooler than the rest of the house, and for the winter, you can always provide a space heater if you need to. Just make sure that the local demand justifies the expense before you go through all of the hassle of creating a separate basement apartment. Alternatively, or additionally, consider converting your garage into an apartment. Like basement apartments, some garages offer better layouts than others. Large, well-insulated garages work best, and in some cases, you can build the apartment over the unfinished portion of the garage. And you know the drill: separate entrance, full bathroom, and a kitchen. Run the numbers, of course, to make sure that it makes sense for you. Now, keep in mind that your garage may not be insulated and should ideally have some form of climate control. Space heaters or pellet stoves are an option for heat. But unlike basements, which remain cool both from being underground and being at the lowest point of the house, garages may also need cooling. And to avoid adding ductwork, window units are an option here. Another idea is to add a CASITA, or a freestanding guest house, also known as an accessory dwelling unit, or ADU. You can even buy a tiny home cabin kit on Amazon for as little as $3,000 and build it yourself in 8 hours. Well, sort of. These basic kits don't come with electricity, running water, kitchens, bathrooms, or any climate control. So there's that to think about as well. But still, you see the possibilities. If you could build a freestanding CASITA for $20,000 and rent it for $1,000 a month, well, the project could pay for itself in under 2 years. And that says nothing of the additional resale value of your home. You can also rent out guest houses on Airbnb and list it as an entire home if you don't want to rent it to long-term tenants. And of course, if your aging parents ever need to come live with you, well, at least you can put them under a separate roof. Now, so far with a single-family home, house hacking can be a challenge. It's not always easy. Having said that, house hacking is much easier with a multi-family home. And here's how it goes. You buy a multi-family property, move into one of the units, and rent out the others. Now wait, I know what you might be thinking, how on earth can I afford a house like that? Hang in there because I'm going to explain it all. It'll all make sense. But look, with a multi-family home, your neighboring tenants pay you the rent each and every month, and their rent covers a portion or even all of your mortgage payment. Now, properties in the States with up to 4 units are classified as residential, and that means you can take out a traditional mortgage to buy one. Now, in some cities, strong tourism can lead to high returns renting out units on vacation rental sites like Airbnb. And instead of renting to long-term neighbors, you can welcome short-term guests. You don't have to worry about personality conflicts, rent defaults, evictions, pets, poor maintenance, lawn care, or any of the other headaches that sometimes accompany long-term tenants. Not that short-term rentals are without the risks. They can still cause damage, and vacancy rates can fluctuate seasonally. Then there's the extra work, especially in the laundry, cleaning, and answering all of the questions from guests who have apparently never seen a washing machine before. You also need to pay the utilities and furnish the property. Of course, no one says you have to buy all or new furniture or decorations. Just make sure the decor and furnishings are clean, don't show much wear, and don't clash. Also, be careful to check your local vacation rental laws to make sure that they don't restrict homeowners. Some cities effectively ban Airbnb, so landlord, beware. Now, earlier I mentioned the millionaire minting machine. Well, it's a fourplex, and fourplexes have 4 legally separate suites. You can live in one and rent out the other 3. And in many cases, if you do live in one, the mortgage company will sometimes add some or almost all of the potential rent to your income, making it easier to qualify for a conventional mortgage. And better yet, FHA loans will allow as little as 3.5% down payment. And if you've served in the military, you might even qualify for 0 down with a VA loan. It's an incredible opportunity that I've done myself, and I've made a boatload of money on it. So does any of this have you excited yet? Let me know in the comments below. Which one of these ideas makes the most sense to you? Now, you might also wonder, how am I going to pay for all of it? Well, as I briefly mentioned before, you can use conventional mortgages to house hack. Now, if you've listened to this and you don't want to get a mortgage, well, you could always get a job that provides housing for you. Brian and Katie from SparkRental do this already. The school where Katie works pays for their furnished apartment, and it's standard practice in international education, where teachers and administrators live for free. But plenty of other jobs give you free housing as well. For example, groundskeepers or caretakers, live-in caregivers, au pairs, travel nurses, park rangers, after-hours security personnel, property managers, superintendents, and so on. You get the idea. So, what have your experiences been with house hacking? Or are you planning to do it moving forward? Let me know in the comments below. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I hope to see you in another video. Bye.